Same. I went to Germany last year. It was the first time I've ever even been in Europe. So I'm not well traveled, I guess.
I used to travel a lot, Nate, but I haven't traveled much in the last few years, and I really don't miss it. You know?
We've got
It-
Denver,
it-
early in Denver.
there's Graham. Met Graham when he was 16.
Oh, nope, you're muted or your mic's doing
Oh,
something.
Mike muted. Can't hear me?
No, I can hear you. Just Graham is muted.
Yeah.
Oh,
Morning,
how about
Dave.
now?
There you are.
I
Dave, I
told you I'm
think
figuring
Graham
out this
gave
new
you a
mic. There's
shout
a
out.
button here I
There
can
you go.
unmute it.
You're figuring it out.
Yeah.
Dave, I think Graham gave you a shout out this morning from your email.
Yep.
So nice to see
I'll
that.
walk
Good,
through
good
that here.
question. Um, I think I think getting assigned on spreads is one of the most uh, misunderstood things in all of trading. People now, if you're assigned at expiration in between strikes, different story. But early assignment, I think, is one of those big misunderstood things. People casually say things like, "Oh, if you get assigned, it's really bad," and they don't even explain what it actually means. If you got a regular spread, you got early assignment. You're either going to, typically get max profit or you're going to get your max risk, and that's why you have max risk to begin with. So not, and the way we do them, it's always max reward because we do debit spreads for the most part. So Ron from California, hello. Hey, Paul. We've got Madison from Texas. Hello, Madison. Good to see everyone. All right. Well, I guess, Graham, do you have anything kicking off?
Yeah, I'm gonna walk everyone through Dave's question real quick,
Okay.
just to show them how we do it. So here is my fill that we had. We traded WPM, Tom, just the other week. Gold mining stock. We did a spread. It was $1 difference in the strike. So we bought the 78, sold the 79, entered for 50 cents. Our max selling point, guys, is the difference of here. So the max selling point's $1 at expiration. We entered for 50 cents. So that's 100% return on investment. Now this one happened to work out really good for us. WPM's about 85, 86 bucks right now. So it's really moved higher. And Dave emailed me this morning, one of the folks who comes to the opening playbook, and said, "Hey, I got exercised on this one I sold. What do I do? I know you guys have said it's a good thing. What do I do now?" Well, first off, it is a good thing. That just basically means we're going to lock in that full profit and we're going to do it early. Today's Wednesday. This doesn't expire till Friday. So typically I'd have to wait till Friday to see my full profit. But because the person we sold it to already exercised, we're going to be able to exercise our side and get that max profit. So essentially, here's what happened. Now I've got my WPM options here. I've got two contracts open of those calls. Let me open this up a little more so you can see 78 calls. I've got two of them. The 79 call that we sold, I now have zero of them. But I do have those shares that were exercised at $79. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to right click here on the 78 call, come here to where five down here, it says exercise. So in essence, what happened this morning was that someone sold me, or I sold the WPM at $79. Now I'm going to buy it back at 78. So in essence, if you flip it the other way around, I'm buying at 78 and then selling at 79, which is a buck gain on the shares, which is that dollar max profit we just talked about. So I'm just going to come here, exercise, and it'll be as if I bought WPM at 78 and then sold it at 79, which is perfect for us. So I'll punch it in there. I think Thinkorswim normally has to approve it. So you can see there, wait for review. But once they approve it, which should probably take 15 minutes, should automatically fill. Offset, you'll see both of these disappear. WPM, we won't have any calls left and we won't have any shares because we're buying two contracts or 200 shares of WPM and going to get that max profit. So hopefully that made sense. I don't know if I flew through that too fast, but in a nutshell, if the strike, there you go, filled within a minute. So exercised, now it's like as if I bought at 78 and sold it to someone else at 79.
So basically, you just bought a call at 78, sold one at 79, the exercise at 79, and then you just exercised at 78 and made your dollar.
Exactly. That's exactly
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
if you guys think about a debit spread and the risk of exercise, this is a bullish debit spread. Um, just keep in mind, anytime you have the right to own shares at $1 cheaper than you're selling shares, you're going to make the dollar. If you have the right to own Apple at 230 and sell it at 235, you're going to make $5. Whatever that difference is, when you have the ability to buy at one price and sell at a higher price, that's always going to be a good thing when you get exercise. Now, if it's a credit spread, it's different. It's the opposite scenario. Now you're flipping those numbers around.
Yeah, and Diane said same thing happened to her. She called the broker, Schwab, and in 5 minutes they got it taken care of. So perfect. So it is an extra step, but it's a good step. It means we win. Everything's good. Nothing to be worried about there on that. Now, as far as yesterday's class, I told you guys, I think we're going to get a bounce off the 200-day moving average, get up to the 600 level on the SPY. That was my analysis, my opinion. So far, looking so good. Obviously, we have earnings today. Nvidia, the big name after the bell today. That'll be a market moving earnings announcement unless it stays flat, which I believe it was mostly flat last earnings. So we'll see what happens here. But I did want to bring on TBuzz, the man, the myth, the legend himself, to give us an inside scoop on what's going on in the futures market. As you guys know, I'm primarily stick to the stocks and ETFs. TBuzz works around the clock, morning and night. You do all those night trading sessions and all sorts of fun stuff, the early bird. And I'm just interested to see what you're seeing right now in the stock market, Tom, and walking us through kind of what your analysis is for what could come.
Sure. First of all, the market from Friday to Sunday had a big gap movement, and it was very interesting. We were up 1.25% on the futures market Sunday night, and so what you do is you figure out that hey, it holds that 1% or more, you're going to rally into Tuesday morning with the cash market. Well, the good news is Monday night you could buy stocks. This is something new. You can buy stocks 24 hours a day now on Schwab. And so Tuesday night or Monday night at 8 o'clock, they started opening up trading. They hadn't marked up the cash. So if you know about the futures, you knew, hey, I can go buy Tesla here at 346, and Tesla is now at 362, and you can go do all that, and it makes it pretty cool because you're able to have a jump on anybody else that's not aware of the futures market. They walk in, Tuesday morning, and what happens is they buy in the first minute or so, and the market makers will take it down, which creates another buying opportunity after that first 10 minutes. So the timing is that you're pretty good. And then the futures market, I had people that I've been teaching the futures market to with the E-mini, and they were able to pick up anywhere from 46 to 60, 70 points, which is huge on the futures market before anybody knew that we were even trading. And I find that the futures market, I always go to the futures market first because it's going to react there. Now, let me just give you a relationship. The E-mini relates to the SPY. The NASDAQ relates to the NQ relates to the QQQ. The Dow futures relates to the diamond. Crude oil relates to USO XLE. Gold relates to gold, GLD. Silver relates to SLV, and then bonds, ZB, relates to TLT. So looking at those 7 markets, I call them the 7 sisters, I can stay ahead of most people trading the cash market. And by staying ahead is, I was long yesterday, way before everybody else was. We usually on a Tuesday, we put out about 10 trades yesterday. All of them are profitable. And you're able to have what I call the edge when people are not aware of the futures market. So I tell everybody, I don't care if you ever trade futures, but you better learn what I can teach you in futures because it'll make you a better trader. Some people are afraid of futures. You shouldn't be afraid because futures, I'm just going to tell you this, and I've been saying this for a greater part of my career, the futures market has less risk than the stock market. And why not say that? Well, it's not just me. The exchanges say that. If you go to the exchange and look at what it takes to own a futures contract, you will notice that the futures money you have to up. It's a lot less during the day than it is an overnight situation. You're going to lose money in the market, and you can go back and read my book. First one I wrote, Winning the Day Trading Game, is that in 1987, I lost all my money, not because of what I did during October 19th, but what I'd done and carried into that day from overnight risk. Overnight risk is the biggest thing that will destroy your portfolio. And so you got to learn how to hedge it. You can hedge it with futures. And it just comes back to the futures market. So when I look at today's market, there's one number that tells me I'm going higher today. I have to look at 100 different numbers. One number tells me if the futures market goes, E-mini goes above 59.45, we're going to go higher today. So I set an alert on my computer, 59.45, and the market, gets higher than that, and then we're able to, go out there and do what we're doing when we're doing what I would say in the futures market. And so a lot of people are afraid of it. Graham learned it years ago when he was 16 in Mobile, Alabama. And that's why he's such a great trader today, because he was taught the right way to look at the market, futures first. And I'm a real advocate of it. Now, I trade stocks, I trade options, but let me tell you, my first love has always been futures. And there's a tax benefit for trading futures. I don't know if you're aware of that. You can be in the trade 1 minute and pay 60% long term versus 100% if you have to be in a stock. The cost of trading futures is small, and you can control equities. And a lot of institutions do this. They'll buy the futures, and then they'll go buy the equities, the cash.
Yeah.
Later, when it merits them buying those stocks. So there's a lot that goes into it. And market does work 24 hours. I actually sleep, usually from about 11 to about 5. And why not pick those hours to sleep? Less activity. And so I get up early in the morning. And I started this morning at 5.
Maybe take a little step back, because I think a lot of people who haven't really got the education still think of the stock market as this thing that opens at 9:30, closes at 4 p.m., and then some mysterious thing happens overnight, and then it opens and it's a totally different price. I mean, there's still like a lot of traders who they've only taught stocks. That's what their worldview. So can you maybe just explain what the 24-hour market is and what's actually happening and why prices are changing?
Sure. First of all, everybody thinks, and people in America think that hey, it opens at 9:30, closes at 4. Has anybody ever heard say, hey, this thing gapped up? Anybody ever heard that? It gapped up? Well, the truth of the matter is, if it's a liquid stock, like an Apple or one of the big stocks, they're trading around the world. They trade in Asia, starting at 6 o'clock at night, and Asia goes to about 4:30 Eastern time, where Europe takes over, and it's where the sun is, I tell people. So now they're trading in Europe. Like this morning, it was this, what you're seeing here in the market was telegraphed this morning from Europe, because it wasn't really doing a whole lot. It was holding up, not going down, not going up. It's digesting the gains from yesterday. And then you move into the day market, which starts at 9:30. That's the cash market. And you got to think of the United States as two parts. And people always say, Tom, how do you get consistent? Well, you got to know this. From 9:30 to 1:30, I call it the New York side. After 1:30, it's the California side, meaning news that happens in California is not going to have the same effect it's going to have in that early morning shift as it will in the afternoon. And so, Apple's a primary example. Their headquarters are out in California. So if you see news on Apple early, probably not going to have as big effect if you see that news in the afternoon, because in the afternoon you're in the California times. But there's 4 main times you got to know. One is 1800, that's 6 o'clock. The other one is 4:30 in the morning. Okay, that's where Europe starts taking control. And the other one is 9:30, which is our U.S. early New York market. And then at 1:30, we have the afternoon trade. And so there's a lot of trades in between that. But generally speaking, you can write this down. The trends you're looking to jump onto will happen at those key times about 30 minutes after those times. And that's called, we have a system called the reference bar system that defines it for you. Now, trading futures. Okay, let's just talk about that real quick. The CFT has a risk disclaimer. And the reason they have that, okay, they have potential rewards, but also have potential risk. Like any method out there, you don't get anything for free. You put $1 out there and somebody that's better equipped, more educated, has the right tools is going to take your dollar, like in any market. So I think risks are a lot lower in futures. That's my personal view because I understand the makeup. And that's what I teach is, give you that advantage and that, that edge that you're going to need to decide. Like right now, you see my hands? You don't see me over here trading, do you? I don't have to trade. Not to that S&P, which we're in an uptrend, goes above 59.45. Hey, if it doesn't get above 59.45, I sit here and wait for the Nvidia news, which Nate talked about. That's the big news of the day. But you also got Fed minutes today. It's going to happen, I think, at 2 o'clock. So that might be a little, a change. But if you think of it in the following way, don't make a trade unless the odds are in your favor. Now, I saw Nate posted what we'd done, I guess, during May. And, I don't want to mislead you. That's a heck of a month when you do that in a month. Typically, I'm more like 4 out of 5. But I think because of the market we're in and reading the market we're in, I understand it in the cycle we're in. I've been telling people that if they'll wait to July, go get a monkey and let the monkey throw the darts, everything's going to work then, because once you get the tax bill in place, if it happens, then this thing's all put together. I don't know if anybody heard, but Kevin Hassett from the administration said he's expecting 4% growth in the second half. If that happens, everything's a bargain. I mean, all the boats afloat. We'll see. But don't trade anticipation, trade what you see. And that's what the patience. I always heard this. It's probably some really good advice. Patience does pay if you wait. There's a time to trade, time to drink coffee and talk.
Well, I like it. I mean, I know that you're going to share a couple details here, but I think what you just said is incredibly important. Trading what you see means actually seeing what's going on and not being blind from 4 p.m. till 9:30 a.m.
Right. And so we follow it. Our software follows it around the clock for us. I can look at it at a glance over here and see what's going on. I see Tesla's moving higher right now. Tesla's my #1 stock to own right now. It's moving higher. 360.
Same.
That's a pretty good pick there, guys.
Hey, me and you, buddy. Let's go. I was just having this debate, Tom. Now I need your opinion. I didn't know you were as heavy as I was.
Oh yeah, I started buying it. I have a long-term portfolio. I put out at 250. I bought it at 250. I added to it. I'm adding to it every week. It makes a new high. I think Nate, if I'm right, we're going to see 500 this year. Okay.
Well, that's what I need to know, because Graham can attest. Just yesterday, I posted to him and our other buddy Dave, because we all bought some Tesla near the lows, and I said the question is just how long do I hold? Where do I start taking profit on this, because it's by far my #1 position right now. So
and I haven't talked to you about this, and you haven't talked to me about your opinion, have we?
No, but I have 7,200 shares of TSLL, the leverage one. So I'm in pretty heavy right now on it, and deciding. It looks so good, I don't want to take profit, but I don't want to be greedy. It looks like it's headed to all-time highs.
I think you're fine. Like I said, if we get past July, okay, Graham's going to buy me a monkey, and I'm going to have the monkey throw darts, because after July, that's what I expect to see, okay? I expect everybody here, if they'll listen, there's a lot of money this year for you in the market, but you got to have a good foundation. Spend this time educating yourself, and there's certain sectors that are going to be hot, and know those sectors, and just get the best of the breed. And Tesla's the best of the breed in that sector.
Mike said, I'm better at drinking coffee than trading, so maybe I'll take that advice.
As long as it's good coffee, right? Yeah.
Great comment, Mike.
So here's I'm asked: do I hold futures overnight? Not the actual futures, not the indexes. What I will do is use options on futures and hold those overnight. Like I do debit spreads. Like for example, if I did a SPY spread, I might do an E-mini spread. Okay, because I got defined risks there. I've always believed in the concept when I go to bed at night, I need to be out of futures, futures per se. Now, that doesn't apply maybe to gold or silver and some of the, or if you're trading wheat or corn or stuff like that. But I'm talking about the indexes themselves.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Well, I know you got a couple things to dive a little bit deeper, Tom. So by all means, you can get started unless there's some other questions you saw in the chat that need addressed. But thanks for coming on and sharing. This is not, like I said, me and Graham like to look at the overnight markets. We like to look at the futures from a pacing and a planning perspective. But obviously, we are not nearly as deep into this as you are. So we thought it'd be a good kind of change of pace to get you on, dive a little deeper. We often get questions about it. And basically, I mean, I won't speak for Graham, but I use it as an indicator. I don't really understand the futures market the way that you do. So I thought it'd be great to have you on and be able to dive a little deeper.
And it definitely affects everything we do, guys. So this is just going to give you another inside look, a little deeper into the engine, under the hood, to see what's driving the markets and the price action that we're typically following. So yeah, I'm really excited as well.
That's good. And always remember this. There's one rule I taught Graham many years ago. 75% of all stocks follow the direction of the E-mini or S&P futures. So if you're long the SPY and the S&P is diving, you're going to be losing money being long. Okay, so that's one thing to remember. 75% of all those stocks are going to follow that index. And that's the way I pick my stocks when, like when it's going up or going down. Those are the things that you look at. All right, so let's dive in here. Again, the risk statement, risk disclosure. Remember, folks, if you educate yourself, you're making yourself a better trader. But there's risk involved once you enter the playing field, okay? And you got to understand that. And you can read that. I think that there's a lot of great information out there. I was fortunate having the Globex terminal way before. The Globex terminal was the forerunner to electronic trading. I don't know if you remember that, Graham, but anyway, the bottom line is that have a good plan, a good process, you'll be fine. For folks that don't know who I am, former Air Force officer, I've been an active trader since the 70s. I'm a former member of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Now, I've never traded on the floor, but I got a membership because I traded it so much to save costs, and that was a great journey. I actually had stock in the CBOT, which was the other side of Chicago, and they merged with the CME. I have 3 books, Winning the Day Trading Game, and this book's like in 11 different languages. It talks about what I've been talking about. It tells you about the market turmoil and how I persevered to be here today. And then The Markets Never Sleep. This is a book written 15, 18 years ago. It's more pertinent today than it was when I wrote it, but it talks about how the world's going to catch up to the fact we're a 24-hour market. I'd get that book and read it. And then finally, Trade to Win. And I've worked with a lot of traders over the years, and I just think that if you learn futures, you'll see your results go up. And when your results go up, that means you're taking less risk as you make your trades, and you get that comfort of that risk and the rewards. Now, DTI, company I founded years ago, we help you master markets through education, training, and experience. I truly believe if you educate yourself, this is not a convenience store where you go just, hey, pay me this money. What you do is you learn from your mistakes, and think of every trade as one of the next 10,000. In my opinion, I came back into teaching futures 2 years ago because a doctor wanted me to teach. I was retired from doing this, but it's been a lot of fun putting it together. People love it. I have an online ability to deliver it now, and it makes it pretty nice as we learn every Monday night at 7, we meet. Long, short, or out. Now, let's talk about that. You break every decision down, every strategy down starts from should you be long, should you be short, or should you be out? You can make money if it's an out by doing, maybe iron condors or things like that. But being short, if the market's going down, you got to have a strategy there, or you got to have a strategy to be long, okay, if the market's going up. That's decision making. Here's the key times I talked about. Notice how it starts in Asia, and those times match up. Then you get into Europe. And these times, folks, you won't get these times anywhere else in the world. You know where I learned them? When I had a Globex terminal. It was only 50 in the world outside of Chicago to learn this stuff. U.S. morning, 9:30 to 1:30, and then U.S. afternoon. I always tell people, if you can't make a decisive decision in 2 minutes or less, meaning after you do all your work, you're ready to trade, and you got fear of losing, you don't know what you're doing, you shouldn't trade. Come to a decided opinion on what you're going to do. You got to know 3 things. Where you're going to enter, where your target is once you enter, and where you're wrong. If you know those 3 things and have a process for knowing that, you're going to do a lot better than just flying by the seat of your pants, okay? And I know that from experience. Now, what is a pivot? Every day I come up with a pivot number for people that listen to me to get them on the right side of the market. I give it away for free. TBuzz TV, DTItrader.com, TBuzz TV. The pivot number tells me how to define the world. This morning's pivot number was 59.15. We're currently trading on futures 59.26. Now, after seeing more of the market, I know we need to get above 59.45 to go into gear. But right now, I'm not getting short. I'm waiting for the market to tell me. The pivot number is very important, sort of to slice the pie and know whether to be long or short. Now, I give out the daily pivot numbers on S&P futures every morning in my Telegram channel. People live by it because they know that these numbers are very solid for telling you whether the market's going to be up or down that day. Now, what is today's pivot? I told you 59.15, currently trading 59.26. How do I use it? Okay, I use it to launch into what I call the reference bar. This time of day, the very first reference bar is from 9:30 to 10. And so what I'm doing is basically piecing together how the day is going to work out with that pivot number. Time-based pivots are most important pivot numbers to consider. All mine are based on time of month, time of week, time of day. There'll be a pivot number created after Nvidia reports this afternoon. Go to write it down. That'll be a key number because it matches where they report. And that's a big number. Now, time-based pivots are based on where we open the year. In other words, are we up or down for the year when you're looking at the market? Where we open the quarter? Are we up or down for the quarter? Where we open the month? Well, we definitely up for the month of May, right? Almost 5%. The week, where do we open the week? We're definitely up from where we opened the week. The daily open, that was last night, was 59.40. So we're below that for the day, okay? We're below RB3, which opened at 9:30 to 10. That's why I said I'm not interested in being long until we go above 59.45. Now, what are reference bars? I designed this system to analyze the market in a 24-hour market. And it's pretty simple if you think about it. At the start of the major changes in time around the world, I check the first 30 minutes. Those are key times of the day. So 6 to 6:30 at night, 4:30 to 5 in the morning when I wake up and start analyzing what happened, 9:30 to 10, and the next big number is 1:30 to 2. They will give me clarity as I analyze today. And there they are laid out. I've added extra reference bars. I call them X, Y, and Z. X is associated with when people can trade stocks in the pre-market. Y is called what I call Genesis. This is when all the world has quit trading. It's just a US only dime at that time. And then, of course, you get to the afternoon, 1:30 to 2. That's when California takes over. And the closing bell, I put that in there because I like to trade in the evening, and it gives me a reference bar to be able to know if it's time to get in or get out.
Tom,
Buy and sell patterns.
is one of those on those times you just gave on the previous slide? Do you have a priority ranking, or do they all have the same power within the market?
The actual most important during the day is that Genesis time, 11:30 to 12, and I got a computer program that gives me all that key data. Matter of fact, you sort of helped me with that, I think,
Yeah.
but it's right there at 12 o'clock in the day. A lot of work, but I computerized it where it'd be simple, long, short, or out.
Gotcha. Okay. So that middle of the day number, because a lot of people, they would tell you the middle of the day is not even important.
Nate, you got both California and New York into the market, and you've seen the graphs, how the trends really start there, right? Big trends. And you got that time. So when you see a stock break out during that time period, it's more than the day, so to speak. It's usually a breakout. In fact,
I mean, you were the first person who ever showed me, like, I don't know if you remember, one of the first setups you ever taught me was that high noon trade, which before that I had heard people say that that's lunch break. No one cares about the middle of the day. It's all about the open and the close. So you were really the first person who taught me the middle of the day matters.
Well, thank you. And I discovered it trading futures, Nate. Believe that or not, I was doing a class in futures, and it occurred to me that those numbers became real important. And I took it from futures over to stocks. And boy, that's paid big.
Yeah.
Big time.
Cool. Sorry to interrupt. I wanted to zero on those times.
I appreciate it. But keep it simple. A buy signal, how many people, talk about chart reading, and I spent years, and don't waste these 7 or 8 years I spent learning all the different patterns, head and shoulders, all the stuff, the break channels, all that. I condensed it down to 3 simple looks. What does a long look like? Well, a long looks like a 30-minute chart where you got a higher high and a higher low, and that market's going higher. What does a sell look like? Just like that 30-minute there. And you can take it to a bigger time frame if you want, but 3 patterns. If it looks like that, I'm not a buyer, okay? Or the stay out one, the one that stays in between. Now you can do this for the 30-minute like I do, or you could stretch it out for the day, the week, or even the year. It will tell you what to expect when you see this. And this is so important for people to understand. You don't have to spend all the hours I used to spend at night trying to say, what is this chart telling me? I don't look at charts. I look at the numbers. The numbers are there. Easy to trade when you know the numbers. Buy signal, sell signal, stay out. And here's the reference bars. These are the bars. So if you look at our software, they're colored. They're blue. Make it easy to see. And I can look up there at a glance and see what we're doing and find out if we're going up or down based on that reference bar that's in control. Now, the reference bar that's in control is the current time frame. The current time frame is 9:30 to 10. So right now, the market, what I would define as a profit-taking stage of that big rally yesterday. But it still hadn't got below the 59.15 number I said is my pivot. Any questions about that? Let me talk to you about this program is expanded. I started with 10 people with that doctor that got me going. I've got a lot of people in there learning futures. And, it's really pretty neat because we got all the lessons. I've been teaching for now about 2 years. I got all the lessons about all the different futures markets, my take on it. And, the exchange will be the ultimate education source for you. But my take will take you to the point where you can apply it and actually it's practical. Okay. So futures first education. I got a Telegram channel for it. I built my career trading futures. It's been my bread and butter. I quit talking about it when I retired from the exchange, and then I was brought back by a student that wanted me to teach. Okay, teach it. And I said, well, you get 10 people, I'll do it. He got 10 people, and the rest is, as they say, is history. But
Well,
bread and butter.
I gotta say that I told you, Tom, why are you wasting your time? No one cares about the education. They just want to trade stock and options. And then every time you talk about this, we get all kinds of people saying, "Yeah, I want to learn how it actually works." I mean, I don't know. You guys can let us know in the chat how many of you guys would actually love to learn a true futures education so that you can employ it with all because it affects every single trade you take if you understand. You can let us know in the chat if you're in that group. I first told Tom no one cares about really learning the futures. They just want hot stock picks. Turns out a lot of people actually really want to understand the market, which is great to see. Because I thought, hey, some of our people they just want to trade pick. They don't really. And then by the dozens and dozens, people have come out and said, I really want to understand how the market actually works, what impacts these indexes, what impacts the stocks, how to plan my trades, how to trade my plan. And so it's been really cool to see that. Yeah, we're getting dozens of people right here in the chat said us too. So that's really cool, and it's been fun to see, Tom. You kind of get, as you said, unretire to teach some of this stuff because it really is the same kind of stuff you taught Graham, way back in the day. Same kind of stuff that Celeste started teaching. Same stuff. The first kind of stuff that I worked with you on. When I learned the high noon setup, when you showed me what you were doing with MTI, all that kind of stuff. So really been cool to see people kind of grab on and get away from that idea of a mysterious overnight gap and actually understand what's going on behind the scenes.
You know what's so neat about it, Graham? It's so much, I don't want to say it's a lot more simple today teaching than it was in the past because we have the Telegram channel, we have the Zoom channels that we do education with on Monday night. We got all the recordings. So some people can go as fast or as slow as they want to. I've got a relationship with a couple brokerage firms, even for newbies that want to learn because they know if I'm teaching you, they give you the thumbs up. In other words, they know that I've been doing it. I know all these people. They know me for all these years, and so it's pretty neat because I did bring it back, and even people I have doing my stock and option and all my different programs love it. I saw Kerry in here, he typed something in there. He's in my program, but this is what I think, and here's the way I would look at it. You're buying these programs with Nate and Graham and all that, and you're doing great. But think about increasing your odds by 10 or 15%, and you multiply that, and you say, man, that's really what I'm trying to do. Have less risk and more reward. This is probably the missing link to what you're doing, I think. Okay, that's my opinion. Eventually, I had my brokerage firm. I stepped away. I retired, and I consider myself retired still. But I guess I'm a live teacher now again with futures. The doctor I told you about convinced me to do it. He said, Tom, I work all during the day. I really like what you do, but I can't participate. I've heard you're a pretty good futures teacher. And I said, well, thank you. And I said, we were at a seminar here, actually Sawgrass. And I said, well, if you get 10 people here, come to me, I'll do a class. And that's where it kicked it off. It's been going gangbusters. I don't think anybody teaches it anymore. Now, it hurts story of me helping people in the futures market. If I could do the same, and I did. And so I said, yeah, I know things about the futures market you won't read in textbooks. I learned through the School of Hard Knocks. Again, I go back to my Globex. I keep bringing that up because there's only 50 people in the entire world outside of Chicago that had one of these Globex terminals, and it was an education, an all-night education. I used to stay up watching the markets around the globe to get those times. So I stepped out of retirement, futures class, past 12 to 18 months, been building it, teaching futures, and we do future options too. Now here's all the list of the classes we taught so far. Look at this. This is so great because you get this list. You can click and, how to trade the first hour of the market with futures and use it to trade stocks. Education on the E-mini to micro. Daily pivot, the one that I told you is so important. I teach you how to do it. ES options. Oh, gold. I'm a gold trader too. and I trade gold. My target on gold was 3,500. It went to 3,509, and I'm just starting to step back in gold. Crude oil, I love trading crude oil. I told people at the first year in futures, I said, this stuff's going down to $45 a barrel. It was at 72 at the time. Do the math on that one. And I trade the poor man's off market too, trading silver's options. I love silver options. On the other side, we started reviewing things, making the classes better. I believe bonds by the end of the year. There's a 1% big trade I'm teaching right now. And I review these things as I do it, and then how to understand the postings in Telegram, we can get the most out of it. Use Tasty Trade, for the beginners. And that's and the reason I do that, they got a bracket order there that makes it real simple. Set your risk, set your reward. Okay. Now I got a core curriculum. It's always expanding. The next class I'm going to teach is on how to hedge a portfolio with futures. We'll do that class, and then we'll, when I get ideas from people that ask me, we'll make it a subject matter. Yeah, Joe, Ninja's good. Ninja's good. I use Ninja too. Last night, I taught him about Euro currency. I think there's a big trade in the Euro currency. And here's that's so important for everyone to remember today. Futures first, because in my opinion, understanding futures is your gateway to the rest of the stock market. I told you when I started today, I'm not trading. Hadn't lost a thing by not trading because the futures have told me, Tom, don't trade. Think about that. I ain't wasting my time. I've been talking to you. This is the important thing about futures. Gets above 45 today, call me. Futures First classes are ongoing. I'm currently expanding our library of futures education every Monday night. We train on Monday night, then I post insights between 8 and 9. These insights are very valuable. They how to apply the education I taught or focused on that night or that week. And I lay it out in an educational format that people, if you can read, you can understand the way I teach. So go to DTI Trader. That's my company, dtitrader.com/futures, or call 904-706-3532. Now, once you join, you got to check your email because you got to get in this Futures First Telegram channel. I'm doing a special class later today to get people after Nvidia earnings tonight. So I'm going to trade futures based off the Nvidia earnings later on this evening. So you can be part of that and see us trade it.
How does the live trading work, Tom? Is that on a Zoom or is that through the Telegram channel?
The Telegram's on both. We have Zoom, and then we also have the Telegram channel where people, like we had that whole class on understanding what it meant when I made the posting.
Okay, I got you. So you'll be live on Zoom in the aftermath today looking for some futures opportunities.
Right. I will be on a Zoom today because I got so many new people from here and other people joining me. I want to walk it through, make sure they understand it. Okay.
I got you.
Go to dtitrader.com/futures. We have 3 levels of membership. You'll see when you go there, get joined. But the most important thing you can do, because the only one who gets an invitation to this will be people that have signed up inside that Telegram channel. Make sure you get signed up. Okay. That's the way it works. 3 levels, very affordable. Any other questions?
This just happens to be maybe one of the most important days, at least of the quarter, to be involved with this. Obviously, Nvidia earnings, huge, announcement, market moving announcement, and then GDP in the morning. So it's like, it's not like this is any other random day here that you're going to sit with TBuzz. It's probably the most important day of the quarter.
Well, what I like about it is the fact that we're going to get Nvidia earnings. The whole world's watching it. You'll get to look at it from the eyes of futures, and I will give you my opinion. Obviously, I'm not bashful about telling you things. Okay, so I will tell you what I think. But I expect after about 5 o'clock tonight, that's when we'll have the class, 5 o'clock, that it'll be rock and roll city for those that listen.
Yeah, love it.
My futures people are saying, Tom, I can't wait. They didn't know I was going to do that. And I decided to do it because of all the demand that we're seeing. So Anyway, get signed up. That's the main thing. Get signed up.
Also, Adam, are we able to post the slides for folks in the chat so they have all the reference numbers and the meat and potatoes that Tom went through today? Just because I mean he covered quite a bit of ground there on what times to watch, what numbers, what a pivot is. So if you guys hang tight, I think Adam will be able to post those slides for you. Then you also have that handy dandy link, dti.com/future. So you have the link handy for getting in before Tom is kicking off in full speed tonight. But yeah, any other questions? Thanks again, Tom, for coming on. Like I said,
No,
this is a
thanks
topic
for
we don't get to
inviting me.
cover a
And,
lot.
when I see Graham, I go back to this guy when he was about 16, wanting to learn about the markets. His mother, we got a Young Eagles program, right, Graham?
Yep.
And he came and he learned, and I thought it was great. So
It was awesome. It
was
definitely
great.
gives you a good little head
You
start.
and Morgan, my son, did it too.
That's right. Tom, when I was a
They need
kid,
the link posted in the room if you don't mind. Somebody's asking to do that.
Thanks, Adam, for doing that, by the way.
the futures are so fun. They move fast. They're very exciting. When I was following your rules, as I was like 15, 16 years old, and I doubled my SIM account. I'm like, holy moly, this thing is awesome. Now I know what I want to do in life.
He says, I think I got a natural born trader.
Yeah,
That's what your dad said.
that's funny.
Yep. Proved out.
Yeah, so far so good, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thanks guys for having me. I do appreciate you, letting me come in here and speak to everybody.
No, thank you for
we love
coming on
good
and
stuff.
if you guys enjoyed it or if you learned something today, just give us a yes in the chat. I know we had a lot of feedback going back and forth here in the chat. Very, very awesome. Mike says you bet.
All my
Yes,
classes
yes, yes.
are recorded. Somebody just asked that question. All my classes are recorded.